Hello and welcome to Getter Farms. Today we're starting off a new series. This is going to be I don't know, I've seen the term survival or challenge series going around with various YouTubers. And so we're playing on Westby, Wisconsin. This is the Westby Wisconsin Revised version, and I'll have a link to this down in the description of the video. This is a map I played the original version of, and I really liked it, but I didn't play very long because I was playing a multiplayer session, and my free time and my friend's free time both kind of ran out. And honestly, that was back in my time-lapse days. So we're going to do a little bit of a walk around, kind of show off some of the equipment, and talk about the rules for this particular series and the goals, maybe more importantly. I'm just going ahead and getting a few doors opened up here. And if you are here expecting a Minnesota Millennial Farmer Map episode, I'm putting that series on pause for a couple of days. The new version of the map should be out this week, hopefully. And so I want to get switched over to the new version of the map before we do that. So with that, let's get focused on Westby here. The goal on this map is we are going to be playing in hard economic difficulty. I don't know that I've ever played in hard mode before, and so I want to give that a shot and see how hard it really is. We do have seasons on, and I am actually still playing with the Lowry, Minnesota geo, just because Wisconsin close to Minnesota, and I really just want to play with some good weather, have some snow in the winter, that kind of thing. If we look at the map, one thing about this map is that there are no fields, so you'll see there's no field numbers. You just buy sections of the map, and there are 3 farms really kind of set up on the map. There's a couple of cow farms, and then there's this farm, which is really focused on arable, and so we went ahead and bought that. And this is really cool. You see this a lot in Wisconsin and other areas as well, where they do kind of the strips of land. So I've not personally farmed that way, but we're going to give that a shot. I believe this map has multi-terrain angle on it now, so that should help us out quite a bit. And then if we do kind of a quick equipment walkthrough, and we'll talk about a few things. I got a 4440 here. This is the Black Sheep modding one from the Mod Hub. And then we've got the 4955. This is the biggest tractor you can get in this mod pack. This is the one from AAA Modding that's also on the Mod Hub. And then we've got J&M Gravity Wagon behind a nice Ford, I believe, grain truck here. I actually had a very similar setup to this when I was on the farm with a grain truck that also pulled a gravity wagon like this. And then we do have a grain cart just because I love this mod, and it's seemed appropriate for the era of equipment that I'm using. Probably wouldn't actually need a grain cart with the field sizes we have. We've got these 2 Brock bins that come on, built into the map. I might switch these out behind the scenes because I have a version of these Brock bins that forces only 1 grain type per bin, which is really cool and realistic. I believe the ones that are on the map just function as part of the normal silo system. I don't know yet. I haven't had a chance to test it, so we're going to test that live during harvest. And so we've got one of these Brandt augers here to get grain out of those. And then if we just run over here behind the shed, I've got the Farm King here so that we can get the grain into those bins. Looking at some of our other equipment, we've got this old used Wilmer for spreading lime. We've got a 6-row corn head here for our combine, which we'll look at in a minute. And the reason we have a 6-row corn head is because we have a 12-row planter. So typically you always have a corn head that'll take either all 12 rows or just 6 rows. And we'll look at the combine here in a minute. We've got this sprayer I got off of I believe the Old School Farming Facebook group. So this should be a good little sprayer. We've just got the standard lizard ripper here from, I think this is a Black Sheep modding off the Mod Hub. It was the only thing I could find that was wide enough that I wasn't going to hate life while plowing, and required low enough horsepower that I could actually pull that with the 4955. And then if we come up here into this shed, I've got the 9500. Woohoo. I love this combine. Actually used one of these on the farm 20 years ago when I was farming. And then we've got a 6030F, which is, about a 12, the same width as our planter, about a 12 row bean head here, because we'll be planting corn and beans. If you look at this map, you can see that everything is pretty much corn and beans with a little bit of oats. And a little bit of wheat. So by default, this part of the country, typically a lot of corn and beans getting planted. We do have a 2210 cultivator, which is probably a little bit newer-ish of a model, but again, it's something that I could pull with my equipment and fit in with the theme. And then we've got this John Deere 12-row planter, which is kind of a work in progress. I've been trying to fix some of the errors with this mod. I really like this style of planter because I had one that was very close to this when I was farming, so we're going to use that. We've got lots of shed space, which I just absolutely love. So we're going to be having a lot of fun with this map. So if we just get this stuff closed here, I am running seasons. I'm running seasons on 6 day, I believe, is what I've got it set up to. And like I said, we have the Lowry, Minnesota geo, so we should be getting snow and different things on here. We've got a workshop in this garage, so we're all set, really, between the workshop. We've got a diesel fuel station that's built into the map here. So I've got all the basic equipment to run the farm by default. And my goal was to start financially strapped to a degree. And I was thinking that I'd be able to do some contracts and stuff, but because the way the fields are defined on this map, and they're not actually fields, I can demonstrate that by, like, if I walk out here into this field, I don't get field info popping up for these fields. So I did have to give myself this MT9 so I can actually kind of take a look at the field and see what's going on. So we've got everything that we need. So I think to make this more difficult, what I'm going to do is not allow myself to take out any loans. And so I've just given myself $20,000 to kind of get started. And with that $20,000, I'm going to have to buy seed and fertilizer for the year. I probably won't be able to afford any herbicide the first year here. And I want to just see if we can make a go of farming on hard mode with $20,000 and no starting seed or anything like that. So we'll see how far we get. I'm probably gonna underestimate how much I need and run out of seed, and we'll probably have some fields that aren't getting fully used. I don't know. I want to get some fertilizer on some of the fields, so it's just trying to find that balance. So that's the goal of this series. And yeah, with that, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Now, because this is a new map with seasons, everything, or at least how this map is set up, everything needs to be plowed and everything needs to be limed. Now, I don't think we're going to get to doing all of that here. And I guess the other last thing that I didn't mention is I won't be using course play at all on this series either, and no hired workers. So my goal is to do all of the farming myself and see how that goes. So we're going to go ahead and hook up to the plow here, and we're going to get started on some plowing while we kind of keep talking about stuff. We got to get our hoses all hooked up here. I do like how that door swings open when you get in. It's kind of cool. I just got to remember that it's going to do that and not start driving off right away. And it helps if you raise your implement before you start driving around. So, first test here, let's see if we've got multi-terrain angle or not. And it looks like we do. Perfect. So at least that's not going to be annoying me, although it doesn't look like it's got very many directions, because I can see when I turn a little bit there, I get that little bit of jagged texture, which isn't as bad when you crank up the directions, but this is working pretty good. So yeah, I'm really excited to give this a try. I don't know that I've ever played on hard economic difficulty, so hopefully this will be a semi-realistic playthrough here. And we've got to kind of figure out what we're gonna do. So since we've got standard Midwest geo, well, not standard, the Minnesota geo here, we're gonna do corn and soybeans. So I expect I'll be putting soybeans on my cornfield here and corn on my soybean fields. So I just need to remember which fields are which here. Luckily I've got the recording going, so I can actually always go back to that and figure that out when it comes planting time. Normally I jot down some notes. And we only started with these few fields right by the farm that we owned. I thought about starting with some more land, but I didn't want to make it too easy on myself. And so I did want the equipment that I wanted, and actually all of my equipment, including like the augers and things like that, I think I got my equipment for just under 500K, or right around 500K. So technically, you know, I came in pretty close to what I would have needed. It's just the land that I would have needed to buy still if I was doing like a start from scratch or something like that. But I would have had a bunch of debt from the loan, I guess. So now it's a little bit interesting how I've got a little bit of corn texture here on the outside of the field that's not going away in a few places. I guess I could turn on the create fields mode with the plow and clean those up, but we're just gonna let those go for now. That was me lifting up as I went over that spot. The 3-point on this doesn't lift very fast apparently. And so this tractor is pulling pretty good when I'm going up the hill like that, down to 5 miles an hour. So that's interesting. That it is pulling. Now, I don't know why I'm just kind of going around the outside of this field like this. I guess realistically, I probably would have done this maybe just a little bit different. So we'll do something about like that. Now I am going to be using GPS a bit. Just to make life easier. There we go. Because otherwise my ability to drive straight, as is demonstrated here, not so good. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work here. I guess I could, oops, try and go in cab actually. Nope, let's try that. And try this. All right. Is that good? That's going pretty good. I've not done a lot of in-cab driving, mostly because I find the field of view and the camera placement in different tractors to be different, which bugs me. This one's actually pretty good, although the fact that I'm on the side of a hill is a little odd because, I don't know, I get like I'm leaning uphill, which I guess makes sense, but I don't know. It's just a little bit odd. And this thing says I'm going 11 miles an hour, but I'm almost positive that's actually in kilometers, and it just didn't get updated. So let's get going back here. And then I think I'm on the right run here. Yep, that looks right. Lifting and lowering the 3-point there. Good deal. So it's going to take a little bit to plow out all of these fields. If I look at our map here, we've got quite a few fields here. I'm not even sure what the right way to kind of plow some of those fields up would be. You know, this piece I'm kind of doing at angles and strips here. That's how I would have done it in a more normal style field. But with these, I feel like I should be doing something more along the contour of the land. I'm really kind of curious if anybody out there is actually farming land that looks kind of like this, that knows what the right way to do tillage on a field like this is. I guess I've seen it done with a like old school traditional style plow, you know, like a 5-bottom plow or something, and they would just continue to plow you know, those same swaths over and over again and just follow the edge of the field down. So I don't know. Always looking for suggestions and input on how things are actually done. We're going to try and be semi-realistic in this playthrough, and maybe not always 100%. Farming Simulator does have its limitations, and Kedrick has his limitations as well as to what he can handle doing the slow and monotonous way. Every once in a while there's some farm sim shortcuts that are worth being taken. It is a game after all. It's supposed to be a little bit fun. And so I'm just gonna curve in here a little bit, lift up and give it a spin. The one thing that I wish they would add to Farming Simulator is the ability to push a left and right brake pedal. Like, I don't know how you would do that exactly. You'd have to just have a left and a right brake key that you could map. But man, some of these tractors, it's just like, in real life, I could spin this thing around and get it to drop back in, you know, easy by just, you know, riding a wheel brake a little bit. So, I don't know, maybe not what you were supposed to do, but that's how I was taught how to drive some of these older tractors. Alright, let's take care of this piece, and now I guess we just go back and fill in these strips. And I do apologize for my voice. If you've watched my Minnesota Millennial Farmer series, you know that I've been sick off and on here over the last week and recovering from some laryngitis and some sore throat and different things. So I've trying to power through an episode here, but it might be a little bit shorter of an episode. We'll see how long my voice lasts. I keep trying to look the wrong way, which I don't understand. Like, you'd think after so many years of actually doing this that I would just naturally only look to my right side for the most part. With the controls and everything else, for whatever reason, whenever you look back, you always turn to the right. Alright, we're going back out of cab for a little bit here. A little change of scenery. In cab is fun and all, but I do like to be able to see where we're going. And so we're just gonna jump across that little spot and clean up this part of the field as long as we're heading that direction and not paying attention. And we missed our track already, so I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna spin back around and clean that up again. Let's see, we'll take care of this while we're here. Yeah, this thing pulls hard going up this hill, which I really like. And if you've watched some of my other series, going back and talking about the combine for a minute, when we get to harvest, we're going to have some fun with that 9500 on these hills, I think. Because in real life, we ran 12-row bean and corn heads on our 9500. And that was, we did kind of a no-till row crop type beans back in the day, when most people were actually drilling their beans in. And so we always had to stay in the rows, and so we had to match our headers to the planter. And so we had 12-row corn and bean heads. And for corn, we just would drive slower than a lot of people pushing that much corn through a 9500. But in this series, I downgraded the corn head. Normally, I run a 12-row corn head on the 9500, just because that's what I did, when I was working on the farm. But in this series, I downgraded it to a 6-row corn head because I'm not going to be using course play. So I'm not going to have the ability to really unload on the go too often. I might allow myself to use a hired worker from time to time, just to, while he's going down the rows, to unload him for the ease of use. But really, when I was on the farm, a lot of times I didn't have somebody there to run a grain cart all the time, because it was just me and the farmer who owned the farm. And so, if one of us was driving a truck back to the bins or something like that, and the other guy was running the combine, you would just unload at the ends. We'd park the grain cart on the far end of the field, and the grain trucks. We had a couple of semis, a grain truck with a gravity wagon like I've got here in this series, and you would just unload on each end of the field if it was a longer field. And when the other guy showed back up with an empty truck, you would grab the grain cart and run it down, and then that person would ride back up and drop you off at the combine and do a few rounds until you get a truck filled back up. So something like that would make sense, but harvest is always away, so we'll figure it out. For spraying, I'm going to try and add section control to that sprayer before we need to use it. It doesn't have it right now, but once you go sprayer section control, it's really hard to go back. And so I need to make a few modifications here before we get into spraying season, just because, especially with these curvy fields, I know I'm going to have a hard time keeping it between the rows, so to speak. So we're gonna need some help from sprayer section control, especially on this hard economic difficulty. I don't want to be wasting a lot of spray. And to be frank, it's fairly realistic. Even in the old days, I was able to turn on and off sections while I was spraying. So I'm looking forward to getting back in there and making some tweaks and updating some mods. So we're going to wrap up this field here and we'll have to figure out what we're going to do here in this series. And let me know in the comments below. This is something that there were a few other maps I could have picked for this, but to be honest, there's some really good maps coming out soon. I've been talking to a few mod authors, and so we're going to be getting into some Let's Plays on some maps that are going to be getting released here over the next few weeks. And so this is kind of a series to hold us over until then. I didn't want to get into anything too serious. I figure we'll play this for a season or two, see how it goes. That's the other reason why I didn't pick up a lot of fields. I wanted to get something that was big enough to, actually make us do a little bit of work and give us a challenge. But small enough that it matched the size of our equipment, and we were going to be able to make some progress in a handful of episodes. So if this is something that you guys are liking, please leave a like and leave a comment below with suggestions. I know this is a little bit of a different series than what I've typically done, and so I'm always open for some discussions and some suggestions on what you'd like to see. And then as always, if you're not subscribed, do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Only about 28% of my viewers are subscribers at this point. So that was kind of a surprising metric that I was looking at earlier today. So really helps the channel out if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the content. with that, I think we're going to wrap things up today. I can feel my voice giving out a little bit here. And so hopefully as the week goes on here, I will be a little bit more recovered. And as soon as the Minnesota Millennial Farmer Map comes back out, we'll be running that series in parallel to this series. So if you're looking for that map to return, fear not, it should come back out yet this week. And with that, that's all for today. Kedrick, out.